From WFRV TV, Local 5, serving Northeast Wisconsin, including Green Bay, Fox Cities, and the Lakeshore. This is Newsmaker Sunday.
Good morning. Welcome to Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zalaski. A place that is safe and positive and nurturing for kids in Northeast Wisconsin is celebrating 25 years. So we are talking about the Boys and Girls Club of the Fox Valley. And joining us this morning, Chief Executive Officer Greg Lemke-Rochon and Senior Director of Diversity and Targeted Programs, Kayla McNamara. Both of you, good morning. Thanks so much for being here today.
Good morning.
Before we get into the nuts and bolts of all the good things you do at the Boys and Girls Club, a little background, please. And I'll start with Kayla, of your personal and professional trip to how you got to where you are today.
Oh, that's a great question. So I actually started with the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Fox Valley.
You did?
Back in 2008 during an internship that I was participating in for my undergrad. Mm-hmm. And so I actually joined as an intern with the Center for Grieving Children back in 2008 and stayed on after having the most amazing and just incredibly deep experience working with young people experiencing grief, and stayed on and have really evolved through the last 15 years to the current position that I'm in now.
You must have liked it. If you stayed on from an internship, my goodness, you must have a good boss over here.
I absolutely do.
Greg, your path, how did you get to where you are?
Yeah, so I started in the kid business all the way back when I was still in high school, actually. It was something that I found very rewarding. Did it mostly initially through my church engagement, but then after college decided that I wanted to see if I could make this my career, and obviously I have. I've been with this organization now since 1991, so 32 years and counting, and I've been the executive director since 1996. At the time that I joined the team, we were not a Boys and Girls Club. We were a small little organization called Youth Services of the Fox Valley region. And then in 1998, we decided to make the shift to join the Boys and Girls Club movement, and have been very thankful to have done so ever since.
So here you are now about to have a big celebration, 25 years. Why is that milestone so important?
Well, I'll answer that first. And when I came into this year, knowing it was our 25th anniversary, and I've said this to our team a few times, I kind of didn't want to make a big deal about it because I thought nobody cares. It's just an organizational thing. It's not really a thing that too many people are going to get all that excited about, other than the people who are doing the work.
And you were wrong.
And I was very wrong. I got a lot of looks like, okay, Greg, you've had some dumb ideas over the years. This might be on that list. And after some reflection, realized that no, 25 years is an opportunity, more importantly than anything else, to say thank you to a community that's made our work possible. We've served over 100,000 different young people in that 25-year history. So we're really enjoying the opportunity to celebrate and say thanks to all the folks that have made our work possible.
So Kayla, what's this to you?
So as I've shared, I've been with the club now for 15 years.
Since the beginning.
Yes, I mean for a long time, not since the beginning, but have certainly enjoyed and appreciated the time that I've spent. And so for me, I think celebrating 25 years has been about reconnecting with and understanding and hearing the stories of all the families and young people whose lives that we've impacted. Yeah. We had a celebration back in August, and it was amazing to see all of the former staff, all of our board, some former board members, but most importantly, and I think especially many young people that I actually first got to know when I started with the Boys and Girls Club, who were able to remember me and come up to me and share their story about the impact that I had in ways that I didn't even understand, I think, right? So hearing from them the difference that it made when I pulled them aside and had a conversation about, for me in my mind, it wasn't much, but to them it was really impactful. So 25 years is about understanding and celebrating the impact that we've had in the community, and also thinking about where we want to go next and what we want the next 25 years to look like.
So what do you have planned for the party? Any special events going on?
So we kicked off our 25th year of service with a big anniversary event back in August, where We had, we think, between 800 and 1,000 people come.
Really?
We unveiled a beautiful new mural that's on the side of our Boys and Girls Club in Appleton. That's where we held the party. And as Kayla indicated, we had a lot of former club members, now even in their 30s, maybe even in their 40s, come by to reminisce and look for pictures from when they were young, as well as former staff members. It was great to kind of have all those club alumni come back into the fold for a really wonderful celebration.
You threw a number out there before as to how many people you have served. What was that?
We conservatively estimate about 100,000 young people. The real number is closer to about 115, but we want to be sure. We've done the math over the years, and right now we're serving, this year we'll probably serve about 14,000 different young people, so it adds up.
That many. We are talking Boys and Girls Club this morning. We have much more to come right after this, so please stay with us. Back now with Greg Lemke-Rochon and Kayla McNamara of the Boys and Girls Club of the Fox Valley. Boys and Girls Club, what is the mission of the Boys and Girls Club?
Yes, our mission is to inspire and enable all young people, especially those who need it most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible humans.
You know, 25 years ago, I imagine the club was a much different place. I remember during those times, a Boys and Girls Club, or mainly like a boys club or a girls club, it was the place where kids went after school just to play. Now it seems as though you're more of a continuing education branch after school.
Yeah, that's a good point. We offer a variety of different services for all kinds of different needs and populations. Some of our programs may serve children as young as 3 or 4 years old. Others at times may go up into the early adulthood. Our core, of course, is our 16 to 18-year-old young people. But in addition to the fun, recreational component of what we do, we also do a ton of academic enrichment programming. We do a lot of behavioral and mental health support. We do a lot of intervention for kids who may be struggling with some behavioral issues. We do a lot of art programming. We do a lot of sports programming. We do a lot of all kinds of things, you name it, and you probably can find some version of it inside our service array.
You offer counseling for children and families. What do these kids and families need? What are you counseling them about?
Sure. So, I mean, there are so many different, right? Every young person is unique in their needs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different concerns that may come up. I think it's important to remember, and this is an overall, something that's part of the fabric of what we do, but building relationships with young people, building trust, and truly listening, so that you're able to be that important person to them to help them see their own power and their own strength. But there's a variety of different concerns and things that young people might present with. I know that since the pandemic, there's just a huge need in our community and in our nation for young people to have access to mental health services. We've seen so many significant concerns cropping up, and certainly needing a need for support around topic areas like that.
And as you mentioned, you've had people come back from the time they were kids and now they're back with you. That's got to feel good. You have to be able to say to yourself, I made a difference in that child's life. Is that kind of what your position is all about? I mean, yeah, you have a job and you get paid, but that's got to be the crowning glory.
Well, I would say that it would be really hard to find a better job that comes with as much reward as this one does. And you're exactly right. And I tell our staff this quite often. You don't know when the seeds that you planted many years ago are going to take root, and that thank you is going to come out of the blue. I, for example, earlier this summer, received a letter from a person who's not a young person anymore that I worked with 35 years ago to basically reach out and say thank you. 35 years later. Now, that's a long time to wait for a thank you, which is fine.
Which you didn't expect.
But the point, no, of course I didn't expect it. But those things happen, and You're planting seeds. That's what we do every day. And very often it's, as Kayla indicated earlier, it's not the complicated things you did, it's the fact that you paid attention and you cared.
Sure. Yeah. Do you see the need for both of you and for the club growing over the years? Is there more of a need than before?
Yeah. I think we definitely see that there is a need locally and also regionally for additional supports, and we certainly seek to be, seeking every opportunity that we have to impact the lives of more young people.
And you've both been with the organization long enough to be able to tell, are the needs different than when you first started or when you first started?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I think what kids need to grow and thrive is the same as it's always been. They need to be in a safe place. They need to feel safe. They need connections and relationships to caring adults, and they need access to opportunities that can be life-enhancing and potentially even life-changing. That's no different. That being said, the lives that our young people lead today is different than it was 25 years ago when we first opened our doors. I think it's easy to say that there are more challenges to navigate. Of course, 25 years ago, the kids we were working with weren't coming out of a pandemic that was a worldwide, had a worldwide level of impact. That alone, but even without that, it's still a different world. And so the challenges that are part of growing up in today's society, they're different. Maybe not in every case are they harder, but they are different, and that shows up in the lives that our young people are leading.
How do these kids see the world today? Are they optimistic? Are they afraid based upon what they see on the nightly news? Because they're coming up in a different world than we came up in. Are they sometimes scared? Are they worried? Do they look to you to be that safe place?
Right. Every young person has different experiences, and so I don't want to overgeneralize, but there is increased anxiety around a number of things that are happening in today's world. We know that access to social media, being on devices, that there are absolutely correlations to mental health concerns and additional, the realities of what it means to be a kid today means that there are young people that feel less connected to their peers. That's something that we certainly see. And the need for having those positive relationships with others surfaces as something that is going to absolutely need to be met.
Yeah, it is a different world. Boys and Girls Club, we have much more to come on the Valley Boys and Girls Club after this, so please stay right there. And we continue our conversation with Boys and Girls Club of the Fox Valley. We talked about the Boys and Girls Club being a safe and caring place for children. And I take it that means not just physical safety, physical caring, but also mental. Would that be a correct assessment?
Absolutely, Tom. In fact, I would argue that even more important is the emotional safety component than the physical safety component. Well, having a safe building and safe space is always going to be a core part of how we do our work. Right. It's how things feel for kids that matters most. So when kids feel safe, they're able to grow and thrive. When kids don't feel safe, it's a feeling, that anxiety and all the chemicals inside the brain that go with that can actually slow down development or even hinder development. So absolutely essential that our kids feel seen, heard, and ultimately feel like they are with people who are safe for them.
And you've got all different age groups. How do you monitor each age group? How do you separate them all? They don't obviously all have the same activities.
Sure, so we're separating young people, trying to cluster them by age group. This is particularly relevant in our Appleton and Menasha branches, where we have specific teen centers, where we have young people who are at that middle and high school level, and they are spending time with one another, and staff that are trained and focused on specifically supporting teens that obviously have different level of needs and different types of needs from our other young people in the building who are between 6 and 11.
And for a lot of the kids, their parents are still at work by the time they get to the Boys and Girls Club. This provides them with something to do after school. I mean, where would these kids be without you if they didn't have a place to go like Boys and Girls Club with their parents still at work?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's every child, every family is going to be a little bit different, of course, but what we know in communities or in neighborhoods where kids do not have access to quality Boys and Girls Club experiences or similar quality after school programs, they tend to end up in unsupervised environments. They tend to end up doing unproductive, if not even harmful things. They tend to not be progressing as well in school. And they end up spending even more of their time watching television and maybe perhaps using their phones or their tablets or their computers or those kinds of things, not getting their schoolwork done, not using their bodies in healthy ways. So all of that is found in, again, those places where there isn't access to the kind of things that our clubs provide.
And how closely do you work with your area schools? Do you work with schools?
Yes, we are extremely focused on building strong collaborative relationships with the schools that we are that are so critical to the success of the young people that we serve. So a really good example would be in some of our targeted programs where we are absolutely connecting with staff in the buildings, with our administrative teams. We're trying to understand what are the needs for the young people who are engaged in club services, so that we can then, instead of recreating the wheel or instead of having entirely separate case plans, we are then able to work collaboratively to say, how can we all meet the needs of this young person in a way that's really wrapping around those services?
So do you go into the schools or do the schools bring kids to you? How does that work?
Both.
Both.
So we have a number of different ways that we're supporting young people through youth development services and youth and family services, where we are serving young people directly in school buildings, whether it's some of our school site locations or whether it's some of the partnerships that we have for the more one-on-one work that we're doing with young people around addressing specific targeted needs. A good example would be our home base program, which has runaway and homeless youth services. We have staff that are going directly into those schools and doing some prevention work, and then they're also working to meet with young people who are referred directly by a school staff member because that school staff member became aware of some particular needs.
Sure. We are back to wrap up with the Boys and Girls Club right after this, so please stay right there. And we are back now talking Boys and Girls Club of the Fox Valley. People who are watching the program right now, the stuff you're talking about sounds pretty good. If I'm a parent or a guardian, I would like to sign my child up. How do you do that?
So the easiest way to do that is to visit our website, which is bgclubfoxvalley.org. And all the information, or at least most of the information you would be looking for, can be found there.
Okay, is there a cost?
In some cases, yes. In many cases, no. And we never allow financial ability to get in the way of participation. So our programs are heavily, heavily subsidized by our community supporters. So just to give you the numbers on that, we'll serve, like I said, probably close to 14, if not more than 14,000 kids this year. Mm-hmm. The average amount of money that each individual kid will pay us, or family per kid will pay us, will be less than $15.
Really?
Yes.
So essentially you're saying nobody gets turned away.
That's correct. Nobody gets turned away.
You take in everybody. And there is help for families who may need it, and they shouldn't be afraid to ask.
That's exactly right. And we don't like making people jump through a lot of hoops. You don't have to give us your tax returns or anything like that. If you need financial help, and the small fees we do charge, if you can't cover those, you just have to say so, and we'll work with you.
What about volunteering? What can the community do to help you? I mean, obviously cash would be good. I mean, what are things that you need from the community?
Right, we absolutely need volunteers. That is something that we absolutely use in our buildings because, as you can imagine, there's a lot of young people that would be in our buildings, and especially in our branch locations, sure. And especially but not limited to our branch locations, where we absolutely benefit from having people in the building who can then focus on, spending time with 3 young people and playing a game of ping pong and doing those kinds of more fun activities that if a staff member has to give attention to a different group, right? But then we have that kind of extra built-in opportunity for young people to be seen and heard.
In your daily jobs, and I know you may be trapped up in offices, but do you see changes in kids that are coming week to week to week? Can you tell the difference?
We track a lot of numbers, Tom.
You do.
And one of the things we know from all the research that's been done is the kids who come the most frequently have the greatest benefit. Yes.
And what do you see? What kind of changes do you see?
So one of the nice things about being part of a national organization, national movement, such as the Boys and Girls Clubs, is they have the ability to do some really high-level, solid research. And what we know is that when kids have what we call an optimal club experience, they are more likely to lead a productive, responsible life. They're going to have higher incomes. We even know that. We know that they're going to be less likely to end up in trouble with the law. We know they're more likely to remain in a monogamous relationship over the course of their lifespan. All of these things are true, and we know that because we have millions of data points we've been able to track with all of the kids we've served over the history of Boys and Girls Clubs.
And you're doing lots of good work. Kayla, Greg, thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thank you
very
Much appreciated. And if you have a Newsmaker